Good morning, students. Today I am taking the first chapter of class 12th, that is of electrostatics, and the name of the chapter is electric field and charges. So, what is electrostatics? Electrostatics is that branch of physics in which we deal with the forces, fields, and the potentials which are related to a stationary or static charge. What is a stationary or static charge? The charge which is at rest is known as charge in at rest, or we called it as static charge. So the electrostatics is that branch of physics in which we deal with the forces, fields, and the potentials related to a stationary charge. So what is an electric charge? Because in electrostatics the important property is the electric charge. So electric charge is always described by its properties. So we will understand what are the different properties of an electric charge. The first property is the additivity. The charge is additive in nature. It means if in a body there are various charges like Q1, Q2, Q3 and so on up to Qn. So there are n charges that are on a body. So we will say that the total charge of that body will be the sum of the individual charges, that is the total charge Q will be equal to Q1 plus Q2 and so on plus Qn. So it means the charge is always additive in nature, or we can add the charge while we are calculating the total charge on a body. So first property is additivity. Then the next property is that charge is conserved in nature. We know that charge is always conserved. It means the charge can neither be created nor be destroyed, or it can just transfer from one body to another. So charge is always conserved in our nature. We cannot produce it, we cannot destroy it. The third property is the charge is always quantized in nature. It means the quantization property of the charge. It says that the charge on an body is always written as an integral multiple of a basic unit of charge, and that basic unit of charge is denoted by a small e. So E is the basic unit of charge, and in which the charge is E is equals to 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 19 coulomb. Coulomb is the unit of charge. So this is the basic unit of charge. It means all the charges that are on a body can be written as an integral multiple of this E. Integer, where n is an integer. Integer means it can have the values of 0, plus 1, plus 2 and so on, as well as it can have the negative values -1, -2, -3 and so on. For an example, if the charge of proton, if we are talking about the charge on a proton, we know that the charge on a proton is E. So it can be written as Q, means charge at proton will be equal to plus E. So here we have taken the integer is +1. So we have written this QP in form of this Ne, where we have taken n as +1. If we talk about the charge on electron, the charge on electron can be written as -e. So here the integer I have taken as -1. So this is the basic property of quantization, means the charge of any body can be written as integral multiple of the basic unit of charge, that is E. So what is 1 coulomb? We know that the coulomb is the unit of charge. So what is 1 coulomb? 1 coulomb charge is the charge in 1 ampere current flowing in 1 second. It means if there is 1 ampere current flowing in a body for 1 second, we can say that the charge which is flowing through the body will be 1 coulomb. So we can calculate the number of electrons in a charge of 1 coulomb. So what will be the number of charges in 1 coulomb? We can easily calculate it. As we know, the charge, the number of charges in 1 coulomb will be equal to 6 into 10 raised to the power 18. So these are the charges which are flowing through a body which is possessing the charge of 1 coulomb. And how it comes, we can easily calculate it, as we know that current is charge upon time. So we have to calculate this charge. The Q will be equal to NQ. Suppose the number of charges which are flowing through the body is N. So we have to calculate this N. NQ is the total charge. So we can put it over here, NQ upon T. For this, if we take T is equals to 1 second and I is equals to 1 ampere, then in this, if Q is the, as we know by the property of quantization, that Q can be written as NE, where E is the basic unit of charge. So we can write it over here NE. So E is, the value of E will be equal to 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 19 coulomb. So if we put value of E here, T is equals to 1 second and I is equals to 1 ampere, then what we can get? We can get N. So N will be equal to I into T upon E. I is 1, T is also 1, and charge is 1.6 10 raised to power minus 90. On solving it, we can get it as 6 into 10 raised to the power 18. So these are the number of charges which are contained in 1 coulomb charge. So these are the basic properties of the electric charge. The first was additivity, the second was conservation, the fourth was quantization, third was quantization, and fourth, what we have calculated, the number of electron in a charge of 1 coulomb, and it comes as 6 into 10 raised to the power 18. So I hope you get an idea about the electric charge and its properties. Now we come to the basic law of electrostatic, and that is known as Coulomb's law. This is the basic law of electrostatics, Coulomb's law. What is it states? It states the value of force between the 2 point charges. It means if there are two charges like Q1, Q2, and they are separated by a small distance, that is R, then with the help of this Coulomb's law, we can calculate the force between these two charges. It states that the force between the two charges F is always proportional to the product of the two charges which are kept nearby, and also it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. So R square is the square of the distance between them, and 1 upon means it is inversely proportional. When we combine both the properties, then we get F is proportional to Q1 Q2 upon R square. When we remove this proportionality sign, we get a constant K, Q1 Q2 upon R square. The value of K here is actually 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, where epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space. If we have kept these two charges in free space, then we have taken the permittivity as epsilon naught. If we have kept these charges in a medium, then we should take the permittivity of the medium, epsilon. So epsilon is the permittivity of any medium, and epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space. So this law is called as Coulomb's law, and it is very important law. With the help of this law, we can calculate the charge on any body. So this is the Coulomb's law, F is equals to K Q1 Q2 upon R square, which gives us the force acting between the two charges. So if we want to know its vector form, then the vector F will be equal to K Q1 Q2 upon R square, and a unit vector also comes there, R unit vector. So there are two charges Q1 and Q2, and this is the line joining them. So what is R cap? R cap is the unit vector along the line joining the two charges Q1 and Q2. So R is the unit vector in this direction. So this is known as the vector form of Coulomb's law. So we can write it like this also: F12 is equals to K Q1 Q2 upon R12 square and R12 unit vector. This is also same, but it is specifying the charges 1 and 2 over here. So what is R12? This R12 is the distance between these two charges, means this much distance is R12, and this R12 cap is the unit vector along this direction. This vector form shows us that the Coulomb's law always acts along the line joining the two charges. Now, if we want to calculate the force between the multiple charges, means we have taken here only two charges, but if there are more than two charges, then also the force we can calculate. So for this we have to understand the principle of superposition. The principle of superposition states that if there are a group of charges, like if there are three charges Q1, Q2, Q3, and like this. So if there is a system of charges having three charges, then how we will calculate the force on a particular point? Suppose this is the point P where I have to calculate the force, the net force. So the principle of superposition states that the net force acting on a point P will be equal to the vector sum of the forces acting on P due to these three individual charges. So what we have to do to calculate the force, the net force acting on point P, we have to just like F acting at P will be equal to the vector sum of F1 plus F2, it is a vector sum, plus F3. So the force, net force on P will be equal to the vector sum of the forces acting on P due to the three individual charges, because F1 is the force on P due to Q1 only, F2 is the force on P due to Q2 only, F3 is the force on P due to Q3 only. So if we add them in the vector form, if we add them, we can get the net force acting on this point P. So here I am writing F1. What is F1? For F1 we have to calculate this distance. Suppose this is R1P. So F1 is equals to K Q1 QP. Suppose there is a charge placed at P is QP. So K Q1 QP upon R1P square. F2 will be equal to K Q2 QP upon R2P square. Likewise, F3 is equals to K Q3 QP upon R3P square. This is a vector form. So the charges, we have to keep the unit vector also, r2p, r3p. So the total force acting on p will be equal to this. We can add it or we can write it in a summation form. So I'm taking it k outside, summation q I qp upon rip square, where I varies from 1 to 3. In the present case, I is varying from 1 to 3. If there are n charges, then I can vary from 1 to n. And r I p unit vector. So this is the total force on a point P due to these three charges. So if there is a group of charges, then we can easily calculate the total force acting on the point P.